The Marine Accident Investigation Branch investigation into the loss of stability and near capsize of the pure car and truck carrier Hoegh Osaka has been challenging. It has required the branch to draw on a broad range of expertise to establish what happened, why the accident happened, and identify lessons for future safety. I am grateful to the many stakeholders involved for their valuable cooperation and assistance. Hoegh Osaka was leaving South Hampton. As it turned to port around the Bramble Bank, it developed a significant starboard list, causing some cargo shift. The hull was punctured and there was some consequential flooding. With the list in excess of 40 degrees, the ship lost steerage and propulsion and subsequently drifted aground. Fortunately, all of the ship's crew was safely rescued, there was no resulting pollution, and the ship was successfully salvaged. However, in different circumstances, the outcome could have been far worse. Once salvors had reduced Hoegh Osaka's list to an acceptable angle, MAIB inspectors were able to safely board and retrieve important evidence, including the ship's loading computer. Stability modelling and analysis show that Hoegh Osaka's departure stability condition did not meet the minimum international requirements for ships proceeding to sea. The calculations also demonstrated that, while the ship was able to safely execute a similar turn-off cow shot at a speed of 10 knots about 7 minutes before the accident, it had insufficient residual stability to survive the Bramble Bank turn when proceeding at 12 knots. Hoegh Osaka's cargo loading plan had not been adjusted to account for a change to the ship's usual European port cycle, which resulted in the ship leaving Southampton with a higher centre of gravity than normal. The number of vehicles which were designated to be loaded in the pre-stowage plan was significantly different from the final cargo tally, and the tally's estimated weight of many items of cargo was less than their actual weight. A key causal factor in this accident was the routine practice on board of adjusting the ballast tank quantities entered into the ship's loading computer so that its output reflected the observed draft readings taken at the end of loading. Additionally, the ship's automatic ballast gauging system had been largely inoperative for some time, and the ship's staff were not keeping a proper log of the distribution of ballast. The actual distribution of ballast on board when Hoegh Osaka commenced its voyage had an adverse impact on the vessel's stability and bore no resemblance to the distribution of ballast used by the crew to calculate the ship's departure condition. Had the ship's staff adhered to a more robust regime of ballast control so that the actual distribution of the ballast had been entered into the ship's loading computer, Hoegh Osaka's inadequate stability could have been identified, and it would have been entirely possible to resolve the situation by taking on additional ballast. The master is ultimately responsible for ensuring that his or her ship has the adequate stability for its intended voyage on completion of cargo operations, and before it sails. A loading computer can be an effective tool for that purpose, but only if accurate information is entered into it. It is therefore imperative that working practices adopted by the PCTC industry, ashore and afloat, ensure that there is always sufficient time and accurate cargo data provided on completion of cargo operations to enable the stability of PCTC vessels to be properly calculated before departure. There is a collective responsibility for all decision makers involved in the PCTC industry to support the masters of these vessels in ensuring that commercial pressures do not result in an erosion of basic operational safety standards. The Hoegh Osaka accident is a stark reminder of what can happen when shortcuts are taken in the interest of expediency, and I would urge you all to carefully read the MAIB's investigation report and take on board the important lessons it contains. Thank you.